Alright, YouTube, David Harry here, and in this mad long boring video I'm going to be showing you how I go about dual booting my Mac computers. In this particular example I shall be using my M1 Max, however the exact same procedure will work for M1 Pro and all of the original M1 based Mac computers. Prior to the M1 machines I don't know because I do not own or use x86, however this process will work for all of the Apple Silicon machines. So what I'm going to be doing very specifically is to install macOS Monterey onto an external SSD. So to be clear, I will then have two versions of the same operating system, one inside the Mac itself and then one external on the SSD, hence dual boot. Now the reason why I'm doing this is because I plan on doing a lot of stuff with Parallels, Windows and probably a lot of gaming stuff. Now if I were to do that all with the internal storage on the Mac, it's very quickly going to just fill up, and like the Mac internal storage is really mostly for my proper work as it were, so video editing and stuff. However, if I install macOS Monterey onto an external SSD, put Parallels on there and then put Windows and all my game stuff on there, it just keeps everything nice and neat and away from each other and stops me from clogging up the internal storage of the Mac. Now that's my reason for doing it, and that could be a good enough reason for someone else. However, you can do these dual boot systems for whatever reasons suit you and your use. Now what I'm going to do is just quickly explain. You can use any type of external hard drive to do this. However, I would strongly recommend an SSD and also the fastest SSD that you can use. So you can use something like, say, one of these Samsung T7 drives. It's going to be quite fast. It is on USB-C and it is not really slow or anything like that. However, if you don't want to go that far, you can also use an external SATA drive. So you can just buy yourself a simple SATA drive, put it in a box like this and then connect it up to the Mac. However, that will be a bit slower than the Samsung T7. Or you can then put together a drive yourself like this one, which is a Thunderbolt drive, which is going to be the fastest solution of all. Either one you put together or one you buy off the shelf. On the point of these drives, actually, I'll be doing some videos explaining and showing how good the T7s are with this Mac. Also, as well, I will be showing a video on how to make your own external storage up using a SATA drive, even going up to 4 terabytes, so it becomes very cost effective for something like the Mac. And I will also show a video where I'm going to be building one of these Thunderbolt SSDs as well. Anyways, the bottom line to the SSDs is this: the faster the SSD externally, the quicker you will get like your boot times. Also things like reading and writing and stuff like that, they will all increase and be quick. I doubt very much you're going to get anything that's going to be as fast as the internal drive. However, as a secondary system, most SSDs are probably going to be fine. Anyways, with all that boring stuff out of the way, let me get into the boring how-to. So what I'm going to do now is just plug in that drive into the Mac and crack on with it. Okay, so I've now attached my drive and it has appeared here as Untitled 2 on the desktop. Now when you attach your drive, if it doesn't immediately show up on the desktop, do not worry about that because we are going to have to format it anyway. So the first thing to do is to do the format. So we need to use disk utility. Now if you know where that is directly, just go ahead and open it. However, the easiest way to get to it if you don't know where it is to click on the search button up here. And as you can see, I've already done this search before, but if I clear the search, if I start typing disk, it will pop up and there we go. So it's going to come up here, disk utility. So let's click on that. Now once we are in disk utility, there is something very important that we have to do here. If we go to view, click on view, and then we have to make sure it says show all devices. And the reason why is because if yours is saying show only volumes, you won't see the actual drive, you will only see the volumes, and we need to see the drive itself in order to be able to erase it. So like I say, make sure we are on show all devices in the view, and then we can go direct to the drive and not the volumes. So highlight the drive here like I've done. Now what we need to do is go to Erase. Now what we need to do here is to make sure that the scheme here, or the partition scheme, is set to GUID. So select that, and then when we come up to format, we can select APFS, which is what we need. Now if we don't do this, and let's just say it's on master boot record, because this drive that I've just plugged in is actually using the master boot record scheme, because this was exFAT in the first place. So if it was like that, we wouldn't see the APFS format there. So like I say, make sure we're on GUID partition scheme there, or partition map, and then for format, select APFS. Now after that point, give your drive some kind of meaningful name. I'm just going to call this boot 2. Okay, now click Erase. So what's going to happen, it's going to go away and it's going to reformat and everything this drive correctly and use the correct partition scheme and stuff for it. So that's done. So let's click done here. Now for the next section here, I just need to make it clear to you, I already have Monterey downloaded. However, what I'm about to do right now is exactly what will happen when I kind of launch my Monterey version. So I'm going to show you what happens to download it. So what we need to do now is go to the App Store, and then in search, just type in Monterey, and then hit enter. Now if we scroll down a little bit, we'll see here macOS Monterey. Now click on view. Now at this point here, it's going to say get. Now obviously I've already got mine, but this will be exactly as you would do it. So you click on get here, and it's going to go away and do like a little bit of a check here. Now for me, it has immediately launched the disk image here because I've already got it downloaded. However, when you do this, what will happen, this will then come up with an option to download. You just click download, and it'll probably take however long it is for your internet to do it, depending upon the speed. But as soon as it's downloaded, because this dialog box here will stay open, and as soon as it's downloaded, it will automatically launch like this. As you've seen there, the launch was prompted because I was on software update. It knew it already had it, so it then launched it. The exact same thing will happen for you once it's downloaded, so you don't have to manually launch it. It will do it automatically. The reason why I've got it like this is because I couldn't be affording to wait that long for it to download in order to do this tutorial. Anyway, so what we're going to do here is click on continue. Let's agree to all this stuff here. Do agree again. Now, what we're going to have to do here is select show all disks. So let's do that. And then there is our other disk that we want for our second boot disk. And then let's click on continue there. Okay. Select the user or the owner for the volume. So just select yourself. Okay. Copy account settings from David Harry. Well, I'm going to do that because basically I'm going to continue doing a whole bunch of stuff which is similar anyway to what I was doing with the main boot drive and stuff. So anyway, so there we go. So let's just do install here. Your computer is not connected to a power source. Okay, right, give me 1 second. Okay, my computer is now connected to a power source. I didn't realize that I hadn't had it connected, but that's a good thing because it's meant that I can show you that yes, you have to have the power attached. And don't worry, you can't do this process without the power attached either. Now what it's going to do here, it's going to ask you to confirm your login, but this is the login for the computer, not your Apple ID for your cloud and stuff like that. So just go ahead and type in your login for the computer that you are on, and then hit enter to unlock. Okay. So this is now saying Monterey will be installed on the disk boot 2. This is saying about 56 minutes remaining here. I don't know whether it's going to take that long. However, what I'm going to do now is just speed through this until it gets to the end. Okay, so that's now Monterey installed to the second drive. Now what it is, we're going to have to restart here, and I think the system will restart itself right now because I waited too long. Okay, so that's going to restart, but what it is, I may have to switch over to a video camera view now, so the picture quality is going to kind of drop a bit. It won't be quite as good as what it is now, so let me see if I can force a restart here. Okay, so my computer eventually did the restart. It was just having to close things down in the background. If I'd have just kind of like, if I hadn't been talking, I could have just hit restart, but the computer had to do it itself. Now at this point, this is going to be basically the same procedure as when you first kind of like, you know, start a new Mac up and you have to enter your account details and stuff. So what I'm going to do is just whiz through this as quickly as I can. And the reason why is because there's going to be some things that I need to show you once the operating system is all in and stuff, because we can switch between the two disks as well, but it's going to be easier to do that at the boot prompt as well. So I say boot prompt, I'm still in Windows land here, aren't I? On powered up, we can go into a mode where we can switch between the two disks. So what I'm going to do is allow this to kind of like whiz through quickly, and then we'll get to the point where I can start showing you how to switch between the two operating systems. Okay, so after a few minutes there, then we are now into the setup for the new account. Now what I'm going to do is just flash through this, because anyone who's using a Mac will know how this setup works anyway. You don't need me to show you. So let me quickly get through this until I get to the desktop. Okay, so that's taken a few minutes there after the restart to get to this point. Basically, it was just completing the installation. Now what we're seeing here is just typical of what you would be doing to set up a new Mac. So you go ahead and do this. I'm just going to have to fast forward through it. However, there's one or two points here that I will pause at just to explain what's going on as well before we get to the desktop. Okay, I'm going to pause here because it's asking now to sign in with your Apple ID. Now at this point, I would recommend you do sign in with the same Apple ID that you've used for your boot drive, because you're basically going to be the same person on the same machine. However, you have the option to just set this up later if you want to. You may have a scenario where you want the second boot system to be a completely different ID. So at this point, you make that decision. You either continue as you were with the main boot of the computer, or you might want to do a different ID and stuff. So if you're going to do a different ID, you can do it at this point, or you can set it up later. I'm going to continue as I would have done with the main boot setup. Okay, so now that I'm continuing in to sign up as myself, it's now asking me to sign in with my Apple ID. So I've just had a notification on one of my iPads to confirm that it is me trying to log in on this computer. If you have the same thing happen, then just type in that security number that you'll be sent on a different Apple device. Okay, so then the next option that we get here is to create a computer account. There are two options here. Both of them appear to be the same thing to me. What it is, it's basically saying set up like, you know, a user admin account, but the second variant here has already got my name on. I think from what I can understand, this associates directly with the main boot partition. This is what I've selected in the past anyway, and it has been fine, so I'm going to go ahead and do the same. Like I say, unfortunately, I don't know what the subtle differences are between these two things. However, selecting the second one because it had my name, I think it does associate it with the main boot account on the other drive, so that should all be fine, and it's worked for me in the past. So I'm going to just select that and then continue. And now it comes up asking for a password, and this password is the password that you use for your computer user account on your original boot on the internal drive. This is why I always select this one, because it does kind of match the pair of them. So the secondary boot drive and the first one are definitely using the same account. So at this point, you just type in the password that you have got for the computer on the internal boot drive. And now what it's doing, it is now just setting up some extra information for this account on iCloud. So I'm going to let it do that, but I will just speed past this bit. And once again, it's just going to start asking for certain things to do with Siri and Find My Device and all the rest of it. You just go ahead and just do whatever preferences you have for these things. I'm just going to fast forward again past this stuff. And now obviously it's going to ask for Touch ID as well. I mean, you can skip past that and do it later, which is what I'm going to do because I just need to get to the desktop here. And then Apple Pay as well. I'm just going to do that later as well. Okay, so finally we are now on the desktop. Now the thing is here, this desktop is going to look really tiny, or the icons are really tiny. The only reason why that is because I'm actually connected to an external recorder at the same time here, and it's scaled everything down. Now let me just explain quickly. At this point you have now set everything up. Now what happens is every time you power down the computer and switch back on, it will remember which login you were last on. So as for instance, right now I am on the second drive, so the second boot system. So let me just show you quickly here. I'm just going to do a restart, if I can see those small words in the corner. So there's a restart, and what we should see here is that when it boots back up, it's going to boot straight back into like the second drive. And that's the reason why, is because the second drive was the last one that was used on the system. Now I'm not going to speed this bit up, we'll just run through this in real time. I know this is a bit boring, but I think this bit here is something that people do need to see working. And then what I'll do, I'll explain then how we change it to like the original boot on the internal drive. I'm sorry if this video's kind of dragged on a bit, but like I say, some of these things do need to be explained quite a bit. Anyway, so what I'm going to do here is just log in. Okay, so there we go then. We are back on the desktop as it is for the second boot system. And we can tell that because this is fresh, there's nothing on. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to power down and switch off. And then I'm going to boot into the original boot as well. So let me see this, if I can see. I'm squinting really badly to try and see that. So this is a power down now. Now once it's powered down, what we do when we power on, we hold the power button on the Mac here. Now this is going to be the same no matter what Mac you use. So if this is like a Mac Mini, you just hold the power button in on the back and stuff like that. Okay, in fact, let me just make that clear. If you're on a Mac Mini, hold the power button in as it's booting up. Don't release it until you get the message on the screen. So I'm going to hold the button in, the power button here on the laptop. Now it says here, continue holding for startup options. So I'm going to continue holding the button there. Loading startup options. Now you can release the button. Again, I think these icons might be a bit small on the screen. I'm sorry about this. But I will blow into it so you can see exactly what's going on. It will be clear at some point here. Okay, so now we're on options, and we've got the little wheels things spinning there, or the indicator to say that it's busy. Now what we've got is Macintosh, and they said Hackintosh there. I think people probably have already realized I am a PC person, or a Windows PC, not a Mac PC. Usually I normally see this on something that I use on Hackintoshes. Anyway, Dave, shut up. Right, so as you can see there, boot 2 is where we've just come from, and then there's our original boot there. So if we just click on that and then click continue, and then what's going to happen, this will now boot into the internal drive boot as well now. Like I say, I'm sorry this is boring, but this bit definitely has to be explained clearly. Okay, and then what I'm going to do, just one time here, I will power down and boot back up again, just to show that it stays in the same boot sequence again. Now let me just get into here, hold on. Okay, now this definitely is the original like internal boot, and we know this now because there's files on the desktop, see, and there's other stuff coming up here as well. And obviously there's like, well, actually there's boot 2 showing up as the separate drive. Okay, I mean, you can get it so boot 2 can't be seen and stuff like that. That's just going to be something in settings that you can do. I won't go into that right now because this video has been way too long. However, it is useful to be able to see boot 2 and vice versa, because there might be data from one drive to the other that you might want to be able to get at and stuff like that. Now, like I say, I'm just going to quickly show you a restart here. In fact, I won't even do a restart. I'll do a complete power down. Okay, hold on, where are we? So shut down. This is going to be the same for the restart. We've already seen that if we hit restart, it goes back to the boot that it booted up in previously. Now what I'm going to do is do a total power down. Hold on. Oh wait, there, it's still trying to do the Monterey install. Sorry about this. Right, hold on, let me just force that out. I'll just force a quit on the Monterey there. Hold on. That's just a hangover from before because I did the install. Right, do this again. So shut down. And once again, I'll just explain the reason why I'm doing a full power down is so that you can see that when it powers up, it's the exact same as doing a restart. It will go back to where it came from. So right now, when we power it back up, it will go back to the same boot drive, which is the internal one. So let me just power up here. And obviously as well, when you're booting into that second drive, I've probably already explained this at the start of the video, but all those things are kind of going to be as fast as what the drive is and stuff. So it might not be as fast. Oh, actually, hold on a minute. Okay, so as we can see there, I clearly got that one wrong. I've gone all the way through this tutorial and not made that many mistakes, and then the very last thing was a complete screw up. Okay, this is news to me. What it is, I normally do restarts and not full power downs between the different boot devices or the different versions of the operating system. So as we've seen there, what's going to happen if you do a complete power down, when you power up, you do have to select which boot device you want to go into or which boot drive. However, when you do a restart, it will come back to the one that you were in. Sorry about that. I was very misleading right at the very end. Anyways, this has been a very lengthy video and hopefully it's been useful to people. And if it has been useful, please give it a thumbs up. Also consider subscribing to my channel and getting all over the bell notification icon. I will be doing a whole bunch of other stuff as well to do with the Mac and hardware and things like that. And I'll try my best not to screw up with bad advice right at the end of the video. Anyways, I'm David Harry. Thank you very much for watching this video. Take care and goodbye now.